Hi, and welcome back to the LMF Pod. I am your host, Nia Pope. I'm here. I'm finally bringing this podcast back after saying I was going to stay consistent with it and then only recording two, maybe three episodes and only posting two episodes over a year ago. I mean, the consistency, we'll just admit, just isn't just wasn't there. But we're here, and for everybody that's new here, I want to welcome you to the LMF Pod. I know for those of you that are watching me on YouTube, this definitely is an interesting background. It's not my usual sitting on my couch with my microphone, kind of just explaining myself. I am in a different location, but we will get into all of that. But before we get into all of that, I'm going to go ahead and throw my socials up below for anybody that's watching on YouTube, for those that aren't watching on YouTube, and wherever you're listening from, Apple Music, Spotify, wherever that may be. Thank you. Welcome for joining. Wow. Welcome. And thank you for joining. My name is Nia Pope. I'm going to add my at Nia the Queen, at LMF Pod on IG. I only use IG currently. Don't really use X. Don't use Snapchat. I use TikTok, but I use TikTok for my own personal pleasure. But welcome. It's been a while, and I am definitely excited to be back on the mic. Again, for those of you that are new here, LMF Pod was supposed to be a podcast of me just talking about living out my adulthood, in New Jersey as someone who was living alone for the first time in her life. It was about experiences, growth, learning, all of that fun stuff. And my life has completely changed from where I was a year and a half ago to now. And so we're going to get into all of that in the podcast today, because this is where have I been? What's next? What have I been up to? What happened? Nia Pope, where are they now? This is what this podcast episode is going to be given today. And so I'm just going to try to lightly catch you guys up on the tea, where I've been, what's been going on, and yeah, everything. So starting off, sorry for those of you who are watching. Yes, I have notes on my phone. So starting off, what happened during the break? Like, honestly, where have you been? So I was living in New Jersey. For those of you that know the backstory, moved to New Jersey to work with the NFL Films. And so I worked with NFL Films. It was great, but it was only seasonal. And so I've had a good handful of jobs since then. And all being different. Like, I think at the beginning of last year, I was a travel videographer. So I was covering like dance competitions and all that fun stuff. And at one point after working with the NFL, although to me, I had a great resume, I was not getting hired anywhere. And, I really don't know the exact reason as to why that was. But I wasn't getting hired anywhere. I was applying to jobs that I really didn't like, and I wasn't hearing back from the people that I actually wanted to hear back from, which was kind of getting depressing. So I took the time to kind of again, refocus on me, but I needed money. Obviously, I was trying to pay my rent and whatnot, so I picked up a couple of jobs here and there, picked up a couple of retail positions, got that experience in the what's the word when you're interacting with other people, got the experience and the interaction with folks that I wasn't getting just being hauled up in my apartment, all day, every day. I got that experience, and that was enjoyable for me. and it was fun and it was different. And it was nice working like 2 or 3 jobs. Like I had shit to do, you know what I'm saying? So it was very interesting to experience and to get put through. But all things come to an end, right? So I eventually finished those positions out, was looking for new work, and I applied to the Biden for president, or not Biden for president, it was Biden Harris at the time. I applied to the Biden Harris campaign, and I actually moved through. I moved through pretty quickly. And yeah, I was very, very thoroughly surprised because I always said, like, nope, I wasn't doing politics. That was a hard no for me. Like, politics is too depressing. Politics is politics. Like, I wasn't trying to sit there and argue with my friends or argue about somebody for being on one side of the fence versus another. But as a proud Delawarean, you know, we've been surrounded by the Bidens or my entire life at least. So yeah, I applied, I got the position, and they told me I had to move. Like, okay, I understand I applied to a job in Delaware, but move from my apartment in New Jersey. So I took that as an opportunity that I took that not as an opportunity, but more as like a sign that it was time for me to kind of move and get out of there. And so I did. And I moved my happy ass right back home, right back here to Delaware, right back in one of the houses I grew up with my family. And so, yeah, that's where I currently am now. I thought about relocating close to or around where the campaign was. But the thing about campaigns are they're campaigns. They don't last like years and years. They last a couple of months. If you win, you buy yourself more time. If you don't win, you don't have a job. So with that being the case, I did the campaign. It was an interesting thing to do. I did the Biden campaign, and then he dropped out. So then we switched to the Harris for President campaign, and then she added Tim Walz. So then it moved to the Harris Walz campaign, and yeah, I did that, and at times it wasn't enjoyable, but then it was enjoyable. Like, it ended up working out to be fun. And so I did that, and I got the experience from it, and I got to meet Kamala Harris. I got to meet Barack Obama. I got to meet Fat Joe. I got to be in rooms with Oprah and Victoria Monet and Spike Lee and 2 Chainz and just a handful of people that I wouldn't ever imagine that I would just be like standing in a room recording them, or standing in a room and getting that sort of experience I was getting. And so I just had to be grateful that, you know, even though I hated politics and said I was never going to be in politics, I got the opportunity of a lifetime to work for this historical campaign. Even though we lost, I didn't really take it as a loss. I took it more as like something that I gained, because who would have told me that last year I would have been like shaking hands with Barack Obama? Nobody. And obviously, well, I don't know, for those of you that are watching me via YouTube, this isn't even the half of it. Like, what you see on the shelf behind me, which I'll just describe it for the people that are listening, ever since Barack Obama won, like, Barack Obama winning was a big thing for a lot of Black families in America. I'll just put it that way. Because people in my church have, like, pictures or posters or plates of Barack Obama, and that's how my house is. I have books and plates and little statuettes and things of Barack Obama, because he was the first Black president of these United States. And so, yeah, who would have thought that little old 24-year-old Nia from Dover, Delaware was going to be meeting Barack Obama at some point. And so I did, and it was a great experience. And yeah, I wouldn't change that experience for anything. But I would definitely say life definitely got busy. It picked up for a while in ways that I didn't expect. And I ended up traveling, and I ended up getting to do those things. And all I can say is I'm truly blessed. Hey, LMF fam. Hope you're enjoying LMF Pod so far. If you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, make sure to download and add LMF Pod to your list. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you go on ahead and like and subscribe for more videos. Now, back to the episode. But yeah, so what for my life has changed since then? So outside of the fact that, again, like I'm saying, obviously, I'm living back at home. What has changed in my life? I'm going to be so honest, and I'm just going to be like transparent. One thing that has changed is my patience. That's a big thing that's changed. And I feel like it's something that I had been working on prior to leaving New Jersey, but then kind of coming back home into the environment that I was brought up in, I really had to learn that my patience is my power. Patience is key. Faith over fear. And those are the things that I've learned and I've taken away. And I'm still working on my patience. I'm not a perfect individual. I still have my moments where I crash out or feel like crashing out. And I'll be honest with you, about 40% of the time I crash out, and that number is still too high, but I'm working on it. And, that's what's important in this day and age with a lot of us, whether you're male or female, whether you're in your late teens, your early 20s, your mid 20s, your late 20s, your 30s. Regardless, everybody has those crash out moments. And, I have crash out moments more regularly than I should. But the first step to getting over something is acceptance. And so that's something that I personally just kind of accepted with myself. Learning to not crash out. But another thing that I'm learning, another thing that I've been big on learning or been big on working on has been my consistency. As you guys can see, I haven't posted on this account. I haven't posted this podcast in a very, 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 very long time. And it's not because I haven't had things to say. It's just has everything to be built around my consistency and my organizational skills and my not writing down a bunch of things in my journal that I have and the execution. It's also had to do a lot with, and again, I'm going to be transparent. It's also had to do a lot with mental health. It's had to do a lot with prayer and taking a step back and focusing. As much as I have wanted to get here behind the mic, I wanted to get here behind the mic as my best self for my audience, for my people, for my friends, for my family. I really wanted to get back behind the mic and get back on screen in my own terms, and not based off of things that people were telling me or wondering where this is or having specific demands. I think I mentioned that in the second episode of my podcast is putting yourself first. And I think that's where, the podcast kind of fell off a little bit because I had to put myself first. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't sit here in front of you guys and kind of cap about all these things that I was doing growth wise and all these jobs I've done. And I couldn't do that because I know, and I knew that there was things that I was still working on. I knew that to me, even though I was working 2 jobs, I still felt unemployed because I felt that way because I knew that I could have done way better than what I was doing and I was settling. And so, those are things that I've realized. And again, those things come with just learning and being put in that experience and patience. And I'm learning that. And here I am. I'm back behind the mic. I'm back talking my shit. I'm back finishing my sentences, and, I'm going to stop, conforming and just be. Just be without really having to have so much prepared and so much perfect, and just like say what I need to say and talk my shit. So yeah, those are big things that, big things that I've been focusing on, big goals of mine, things that I've been trying to work out, and things that I've just learned different from when I was living in New Jersey, doing the podcast, putting stuff on YouTube. Like, I wasn't doing that. And so I needed to draw back, regroup. I've drawn it back. I've regrouped. I'm now out of my apartment in New Jersey. I'm now living back home. I'm now stacking my bread. I'm now continuing to look for jobs because at the moment, yes, excuse me, Kamala Harris, I am unemployed. But it is okay because God gives things to you when you're ready. And so, it's all in his timing, and that's personally just kind of like how I feel right now. So, talking about what's next with the LMF pod, like what's about to be happening, what's going on. Let me think. Next with the LMF pod, like I said, consistency. That is what's next. I'm trying to be consistent with the LMF pod. I do want to bring on some folks to kind of chat and like kick it with me. But I feel like I need to be consistent individually first before I start bringing other people into the mix. What else? I want to talk obviously less, well, still about me, but less about me and more about like things that are just happening and going on and things that I'm interested in. Like, for example, what the hell happened with TikTok? And why are people selling phones for 25 grand that still have TikTok installed because other people went on ahead and deleted TikTok off of their phone when TikTok was gone for like 2 seconds? Like, make that make sense. Like, what's happening with that? And so those are the things that I want to talk about. Or for example, what is going on with this whole, like, and again, I don't want to talk about politics, but like, what is going on with Elon Musk and Donald Trump? Like, why is our country being run by a bunch of billionaires right now? And I'm not saying that that wasn't the case before, but Donald Trump has never had a struggle in his life. So what's going on? Why are we going backwards? Why are we not recognizing the LGBTQ community? Like, why are we deporting people that are seeking refuge and just want to come to this country to have a better living? Aren't we the land of the free? So, like, yeah, there's a couple things that I want to get off my chest. And, that is what LMF, let me finish, means. And so that is what I want to do. And, those are just things that I want to talk about. And so, I'm here. I'm ready. Let's talk. Let's chat. But I also want to open the floor to the audience. I want to open the floor to starting to gain some more questions. I want to open the floor to maybe not harboring out advice, but harboring out my opinion. If you guys want to slide some things into like my Q&A box or leave me some things that I can read anonymously here on LMF Pod, slide some things into either my own personal DM or the DM for LMF Pod. I'd love to be able to do that. That sounds so interesting. And so those are just the things that I've been kind of dreaming up for this podcast, kind of dreaming up for the content for the year. And I've been dreaming up some individual content for myself. For example, like the beginning of this year, I just went to Cancun for my 25th birthday. It was amazing. It was so much fun. And I loved Cancun. I loved traveling out of the country. I loved traveling out of the country with my friends. I liked the experiences. I felt like it really brought me and all of my friends closer together. And that's something that I plan on doing this year. You know, once I make a little bit more cash. Or once I just find a job altogether, that is definitely in the cards and a plan of mine. So that's just something that I want to do. But yeah, go ahead and send me a DM and let me know what you guys are interested and looking for in the LMF pod, the Let Me Finish podcast with yours truly. And yeah, I think today's episode was just a quick touch on where I've been, where she been at, what she been doing. Again, you can keep up with me and everything that I've been doing on my social medias at Nia the THA Queen or at LMF Pod on IG. IG is where I post the most. Working on TikTok, but IG is where I post. So I just thank everybody for tuning in. Definitely subscribe, share, follow, comment, do all of the above. Send me a DM. Let me know you didn't like the episode. Let me know. I'm just looking for some feedback at this point, and I think that's going to help me build a little bit on my consistency along the way. And yeah, make sure you go ahead and also leave a review if you're listening on Apple Music or Spotify. Let others know that this is the podcast that they do not want to miss. And yeah, I hope to see you guys in the future on social media. We'll see. But thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Have a good one.